Hey everyone! Are you ready to take your English listening skills to the next level? In today's video, we've put together a fantastic listening practice session designed to help you understand native speakers more easily. Grab a cup of coffee, sit back, and let's improve your English together. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss a lesson. Let's get started.
Chloe, do you ever find yourself wide awake at 2 in the morning scrolling endlessly through social media? Last night I spent over an hour looking at updates from people I went to high school with.
I have definitely been there more times than I care to admit, Alex. Late at night seems to be when our minds are most vulnerable to toxic comparison.
It really is, and every single post I saw felt like a sharp blow to my self-esteem. People my age are buying apartments, landing executive positions, and getting engaged.
It creates an overwhelming illusion that everyone else has their life completely sorted out while you are falling behind. That contrast can feel truly suffocating when you are alone in the dark.
Suffocating is the exact right word for it. I found myself sitting in the dark, wondering where I made a wrong turn in my own life choice over the last few years.
You did not make a wrong turn at all, Alex. What you were looking at was not real life in its full complexity, but a carefully curated highlight reel.
I know intellectually that people only post their absolute best moments online. Yet why does rational logic completely fail when we look at those pictures?
Because human beings are naturally wired to evaluate their personal worth through social comparison. When we see constant signals of success around us, our brain interprets it as a threat to our status.
That makes sense from an evolutionary standpoint, but in the modern digital world, it just creates non-stop anxiety. We were never designed to compare ourselves to thousands of people simultaneously.
Exactly, because in the past, you only compared yourself to a small local community of neighbors. Today, your feed exposes you to the top achievements of the entire world every single minute.
No wonder we feel like we are losing a race that never actually existed in the first place. We are comparing our raw daily struggles to everyone else's public victory lap.
That comparison is completely unequal and fundamentally flawed from the very start. Nobody posts photos of their depleted bank balance during a rough month or their moments of deep anxiety.
I certainly don't post about my career doubts or my quiet evening worries. I only share nice dinner photos or holiday trips when things are going great.
And that means everyone else is doing the exact same thing as you. We are all participating in an unspoken agreement to show only our polished surfaces.
It creates an endless feedback loop of artificial perfection. We end up intimidating each other with curated images while secretly feeling inadequate on the inside.
That is the core trap of modern social media platforms. They profit off our engagement, and nothing drives engagement faster than deep insecurity and the fear of missing out.
It feels like the algorithm is specifically designed to feed our deepest insecurities. The more anxious I get, the more I keep scrolling looking for answers.
That is precisely how those apps keep you hooked on the screen. Recognizing that manipulation is the first step toward reclaiming control over your emotional well-being.
Why does this peer pressure feel especially intense during our 20s? It feels like these specific years carry an immense, unbearable weight of expectation.
Because our 20s represent the first major transition into completely unstructured adult life. Throughout our childhood and teenage years, society provided a clear linear path for us.
Right, you go from grade to grade, year after year, with clear standardized markers of progress. Every single person in your class is on the exact same schedule.
Precisely, school gives us a shared timeline where progress is predictable. But the moment formal education ends, that shared path suddenly vanishes into thin air.
And without that structured track, we panic and look around to see what everyone else is doing. We start grabbing onto external milestones just to feel secure in ourselves.
Sociologists actually have a specific term for those rigid societal timelines that we internalize. They call it the social clock.
The social clock? That sounds like a silent alarm constantly ticking away in the back of our minds.
It really is, and it dictates arbitrary deadlines for major life achievements. It tells us precisely when we should settle down, buy property, or reach career peaks.
Where did those rigid timelines even come from in the first place? Who decided that 25 or 30 was the ultimate magic threshold for life success?
Those expectations were constructed during previous generations under entirely different economic and cultural conditions. Life was far more predictable decades ago than it is today.
Housing was vastly more affordable back then, and long-term career stability was standard practice. Expecting our generation to match those same milestones at the same age is completely unreasonable.
It is totally unrealistic, yet we still hold ourselves accountable to those outdated standards. We punish ourselves for not hitting deadlines that no longer fit modern reality.
It makes me feel like I am running a marathon where the finish line keeps moving away. No matter how hard I work, I feel like I am always lagging behind.
That is because you are measuring your unique life journey against a standardized template. You are trying to fit your complex reality into someone else's rigid mold.
I see so many friends panicking because they hit 25 without a clear 10-year plan. We treat turning 30 like a catastrophic deadline rather than just another birthday.
Turning 30 has become this strange symbolic boundary line in modern culture. People treat it as the moment where youth ends and failure becomes permanent if you haven't succeeded.
It creates so much unnecessary dread and rushes people into terribly impulsive decisions. People end up staying in wrong careers or rushing into bad relationships just to satisfy the clock.
Rushing life milestones out of fear always leads to deep regret further down the road. It is far better to arrive late at the right destination than to arrive early at the wrong one.
How can we rewire our brains to stop fearing that social clock? How do I truly accept that my timeline can look completely different from others?
One powerful concept to keep in mind is that everyone operates in their own personal time zone. Spatial time zones around the world illustrate this idea perfectly.
How does the time zone concept apply to individual human lives? That sounds like an interesting metaphor.
Think about it this way: London is hours ahead of New York, but New York is not slow or behind. Both cities are simply operating on their own correct local time.
That is a brilliant perspective. So someone graduating at 22 isn't superior to someone who graduates at 30.
Not at all, because their circumstances, background, and personal journey are totally different. Some people find their true passion in their 20s, while others discover it in their 50s.
We tend to glorify young prodigies and tech founders who make millions before 25. The media loves selling the story of immediate, youthful success.
Media outlets focus on those rare exceptions because youth paired with extreme success makes for a sensational headline. But that story represents less than 1% of actual human reality.
And by focusing exclusively on those rare outliers, we internalize the belief that late success is worthless. We forget about all the incredible late bloomers throughout history.
Consider famous author J.K. Rowling, who was an unemployed single parent in her 30s before publishing her first book. Her path was filled with immense hardship before her sudden breakthrough.
That is so true, and actor Morgan Freeman didn't land major iconic roles until his 50s. Before that, he was working steadily without widespread recognition.
Or take Stan Lee, who created his first hit comic book right around his 40th birthday. Before that moment of creation, he came very close to quitting the industry entirely.
If Stan Lee had given up in his 30s because he felt left behind by his peers, world pop culture would look entirely different today.
Exactly, his patience and persistence allowed his greatest artistic work to emerge when he was ready. True growth requires time, seasoning, and deep life experience.
I guess fast growth isn't always the best kind of growth anyway. Trees that grow too quickly often have soft wood and shallow root systems.
That is a great analogy, Alex. Trees that take decades to mature develop deep root systems that can easily withstand severe environmental storms.
I would much rather build a resilient foundation that lasts a lifetime than achieve fragile success that collapses at the first obstacle.
Developing emotional maturity, self-knowledge, and character takes time. You cannot fast-forward personal character development without sacrificing core substance.
That brings us back to that powerful quote you mentioned earlier about comparing chapters. Could you explain that idea again in more detail?
The quote states, "Never compare your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20." It is one of the most liberating truths you can ever embrace.
When I look at successful mentors or senior colleagues, I am looking at their chapter 20. I am seeing decades of refined skills, network building, and hard-won experience.
Precisely, but when you look at yourself, you are looking at your chapter 1 or chapter 2. You are judging your starting point against their advanced mastery.
It is like someone who picked up a guitar last week feeling miserable because they cannot play like a concert guitarist with 30 years of practice.
That is the exact logical error we commit every time we feel inferior on social media. We expect our rough early drafts to match someone else's polished masterpiece.
I spent so much time comparing my rough draft to their final print. It makes total sense why that leaves me feeling so discouraged and drained.
Every single expert was once a beginner who simply refused to quit. Every person in chapter 20 had to endure the awkwardness, uncertainty, and mistakes of chapter 1.
I wonder what the early chapters of those successful people looked like in reality. They probably had plenty of embarrassing failures and sleepless nights too.
They absolutely did, but history rarely highlights those messy beginnings. History prefers to focus on the triumphant outcome because it makes a better story.
If we could see the full unabridged story of everyone's life, we would realize that no one's path is smooth. Everyone encounters major detours and frustrating setbacks along the way.
Detours are not wasted time, they are often where the most valuable lessons are learned. Some of the best life discoveries happen when you are forced off the main road.
I need to start viewing my current struggles as part of my story's necessary character development. This rough patch is just the essential tension before the plot advances.
That mindset turns self-pity into curious anticipation. Instead of asking why this is happening to you, you start asking what this experience is teaching you.
It shifts me from being a passive victim of circumstances to being the active author of my own life. I get to decide how this chapter turns out.
You are the only person who holds the pen to your life story, Alex. Don't let audience commentary dictate what you choose to write on the page.
That is such an empowering thought, Chloe. I have been letting the crowd direct my pen for far too long.
Reclaiming authorship of your life is where real inner peace begins. You stop seeking approval from spectators who aren't even reading your full book.
So practically speaking, how do I begin reclaiming that authorship on a daily basis? What specific habits should I build to stay focused on my own track?
The first practical habit is implementing clear boundaries with digital technology. You need to control your digital consumption rather than letting it control you.
I could start by leaving my phone in another room when I go to sleep at night. That way, I won't wake up or go to sleep staring at other people's achievements.
That single boundary can transform your mental well-being dramatically over time. Starting your morning in silence gives you space to set your own intentions for the day.
Instead of reacting to everyone else's world first thing in the morning, I can ground myself in my own reality. That sounds so refreshing and peaceful.
It really is, and you can also perform a regular social media audit. Unfollow, mute, or block any account that consistently triggers feelings of inadequacy or envy.
I used to feel guilty about unfollowing people I know in real life, but my mental health has to come first. I don't need to consume content that hurts my peace of mind.
You owe no one your mental peace, Alex. Curating your digital feed to feature inspiring, educational, or soothing content is a vital act of self-care.
What about defining success for myself? How do I uncover my actual desires under all these accumulated societal expectations?
Set aside quiet time for deep reflection away from screens and digital distractions. Ask yourself what kind of daily life actually makes you feel fulfilled and peaceful.
When I really think about it, I don't care about having a massive luxury villa or a flashy job title. I just want creative freedom, financial stability, and genuine connection.
Notice how those true desires are centered on internal quality of life rather than external status symbols. That is a profound and important realization.
I was chasing goals that belonged to other people just because society labeled them as important. I was running toward a trophy I didn't even truly want.
That is the ultimate tragedy of peer pressure, winning a race you never wanted to run. Once you cross the finish line, you realize the prize means nothing to you.
I am dropping out of that race starting today. I want to run toward goals that align with my genuine personal values.
That is a major turning point, Alex. Once you align your goals with your inner values, external comparison loses its power over you.
When I see someone else achieving something great in their field, I won't feel threatened anymore. I can just appreciate their success while staying focused on my path.
Their success becomes proof of what is possible in the world, not a negative statement about your lack. You can celebrate them while continuing your own build.
How can I keep track of my progress without constantly looking sideways at others? How do I measure growth effectively in my daily life?
Shift your focus to tracking internal metrics rather than seeking external validation. Keep a simple journal where you log your daily effort, personal learning, and small wins.
Logging small daily wins sounds very manageable. I often discount small daily progress because it doesn't look impressive on the surface.
Small daily efforts compound exponentially over time, just like compound interest in finance. A 1% improvement every day leads to massive transformation over a year.
Consistent small steps are much more sustainable than sudden bursts of extreme effort that lead to burnout. Steady growth lasts far longer in the end.
Consistency over intensity is the ultimate key to lasting success in any endeavor. Showing up every day, even in small ways, builds deep self-trust.
Self-trust is something I have definitely neglected lately. Every time I compare myself to others, I break trust with my own personal path.
Rebuilding that self-trust takes continuous practice and self-compassion. Honor the commitments you make to yourself, no matter how small they seem at first.
If I promise myself I will read 10 pages or walk for 20 minutes, I should follow through. That proves to my mind that my words to myself matter.
Exactly, and over time, that internal validation completely replaces the need for external applause. You become deeply secure in your own capabilities.
Another thing I struggle with is feeling like time is slipping away too fast. I get anxious thinking about getting older without reaching certain arbitrary milestones.
That fear comes from viewing time as a scarce commodity that is running out, rather than a space to experience life. Time is your ally, not your enemy.
Viewing time as an ally feels much lighter than viewing it as a ticking bomb. Every year adds wisdom, clarity, and resilience to our lives.
Age brings a depth of perspective that youth simply cannot offer. With every passing year, you become more grounded in who you truly are.
I am starting to see that aging is a privilege, not a decline. We should embrace the added depth rather than mourning lost youth.
That is a beautiful reframe, Alex. Society fetishizes youth because it is easily marketable, but wisdom and peace are far more valuable in the long run.
I don't want to spend my 20s wishing I was 30, or spend my 30s wishing I was 20 again. I want to be fully present right now.
Being fully present in your current stage of life is the greatest gift you can give yourself. Today has its own unique joys that will never return.
What should I do when I feel a sudden wave of panic about my future? What is a quick grounding technique I can use in that moment?
Take 3 deep breaths and pause whatever you are doing. Remind yourself out loud that you are safe, you are growing, and your timeline belongs to you alone.
Saying that out loud forces my brain to break the panic loop. It brings me back to the present moment instead of spiraling into hypothetical futures.
Present moment awareness is the ultimate antidote to anxiety. You cannot solve problems that haven't happened yet in a future that doesn't exist.
I spend so much mental energy trying to solve problems that only exist in my imagination. It is so exhausting.
Direct that mental energy into taking one small, tangible action today instead. Action cures fear much faster than passive overthinking ever will.
Even cleaning my room, writing a single paragraph, or taking a short walk can break that paralysis. Doing something small gives me back momentum.
Momentum builds confidence, and confidence reduces fear. Start small, stay consistent, and let the results accumulate naturally over time.
I am realizing that my 20s aren't meant to be the destination, they are meant to be the discovery phase. It is totally okay to still be exploring.
Exploration is the entire point of this decade. If you had everything figured out at 22, there would be no room left for discovery or surprise.
That makes me feel so much better about not having a rigid long-term plan. Embracing the unknown feels much more exciting than scary now.
Uncertainty is just another word for possibility. When nothing is certain, anything is possible.
This conversation has completely transformed my mindset tonight, Chloe. I felt so overwhelmed an hour ago, but now I feel calm, centered, and hopeful.
I am so glad to hear that, Alex. Sometimes all we need is a gentle reminder that we are not alone in feeling this way.
It is so comforting to realize that almost everyone our age feels lost or pressured at times. We are all figuring things out as we go along.
We really are, and nobody has all the answers, regardless of how confident they appear on screen. We are all learning on the job of life.
I am going to put my phone away now and read a good book before going to sleep. No more late nights scrolling through highlight reels for me.
That sounds like a wonderful plan. Give your mind the quiet, restful space it deserves to restore itself tonight.
Tomorrow morning, I am going to write down my own personal definition of success in my journal. I want to build a life that feels good on the inside, not just looks good on the outside.
Building a life that feels good on the inside is the ultimate achievement. I am so proud of your commitment to your own personal growth.
Thank you for listening and sharing your wisdom with me tonight, Chloe. You are a truly wonderful friend.
Always here for you, Alex. Sleep well tonight, and remember that you are exactly where you need to be on your journey.
Good night, Chloe. I will talk to you tomorrow.
Good night, Alex. Sleep peacefully.